All right, greetings, fellow grade 11s. It's Mr. Hlajai here, and welcome to Back to Basics. Look, now what is it that you are going to be looking at basically now? We are going to be doing our functions, right? And what we are examining basically, we are examining our paper of November 2018, right? So we are looking at our November 2018 paper, right? So that is what we are going to be examining basically now. This type of question require us to do the following. Now they say the diagram shows that the graph of f of x is equals to negative open bracket x, subtract 3 close bracket squared plus 25, and you are also given the graph of g of x, which is going to be 2 into bracket 1 over 2 all to the exponent x plus 1 subtract 4, right? So now they say the graph cuts f cuts the x-axis at A and C and the y-axis at E and has a turning point D. The graph basically G cuts the x-axis at A and y-axis at B, right? So now let's see in terms of what is the first thing that they require us to do here. Hopefully you can see. Now, the first question require us to do the following. Now, this type of question, they want us to write down what is going to be the equation of asymptote, right? So what is going to be the equation of asymptote for the graph of G? Remember, in the graph of G, the equation of the asymptote is basically going to what? It is going to be this particular 4, right? So which means now your 6.1, if you are looking for the equation of asymptote, you are going to be given that your y, remember this is going to be the one that represents your y. So your y is going to be given by what? Is going to be given by -4. That is going to be your equation of your asymptote. Now, the second thing is they want us to calculate what is going to be the coordinate of D. Now, if you can look at the coordinate of D, the coordinate of D, it is, they want us to, it is the turning point of the graph of F, right? And they want us to write it down. And basically, if you can look at this particular equation, you are given that, for example, with 6.2, you are given that you are having f of x, which is equals to x subtract 3 all squared plus 25. So basically, now this equation, which means if you can look at thoroughly, this particular equation is given by a into x subtract p plus q, right? So which means now your value of your p and your q, which represent your what? These p and q represent your turning point, right? So basically, which means now the values of your turning point here is going to be what? So your value of your turning point, your d is going to be given by, firstly, the x is going to be the positive one, it's going to be 3 and also what? And also 25. Now it's good. So basically that is going to be your value of your d, which is a representation of our turning point. Now, they want us to write down what is going to be the range of what? The range of your graph of f. Basically now your range, it is all the possible y values, right? Now, and what do we do basically when you're looking for all the possible y values? You start from your y, which is from -infinity, and then you are going to move swiftly along upward. Are we together? So now, and if you can move swiftly along upward, you can see that the maximum point that the graph of f can meet, or rather can reach here, it's going to be what? It's going to be where your y is 25. Are we together? So which means the only part, the only point that this graph exists, it exists from -infinity up until 25. Are we together? So which means if you are looking, or rather if we are looking for our turning point, the turning point is going to be given by what? Y is going to be the element of real numbers. Y is going to be the element of real numbers, and your y start from -infinity. As you can see, these arrows, yeah, the y start from -infinity up until your 25, which means your y is basically, your y is not going to be greater than 5. It's going to be basically less than 25, less or equals to 25, because that particular point is also included in them, right? Hopefully this makes sense to you. Now, what else do they want us to do now? They want us to write down the length of EP. Now, what is going to be your length of EP? Now, your EB basically is going to be the point that touches your graph here, right? And your point E, for example, if you can start from your point E, what is your point E? Your point E represent your what? Your point E represent your y-intercept for the graph of F, isn't it so? And your point B, they said it what? It is the y-axis of what? Of the graph of G, which means also it represents the y-intercept of the graph of G, right? So basically, whenever you're looking for the x-intercept or for or rather, whenever you're looking for the y-intercept of any graph, you're always going to let the x to be equals to 0. Are we together? So now what is it that you're going to do? You're going to say, look, now, firstly, for us to find out what are the coordinates of E, we are going to simply say for y-intercept. Now, for y-intercept, what is it that you're going to do? For y-intercept, you're going to let your x b equals to 0, right? And remember that the 25 in here doesn't necessarily represent your y-intercept, but rather it represents the coordinates of your turning point, right? So, which means the first thing that we are going to do, therefore, we are going to say this is going to be y is equals to 0 subtract 3 close bracket squared plus 25, and see in terms of what is it that you are going to have here, right? So what we are then going to have here when we are doing both of these, you are going to firstly find out the answer of your y-intercept here. It's going to be same as 0, right? And remember here, it's negative outside here. So this is negative outside here. So it's going to be, actually, your y-intercept is going to be same as your 16, right? It's going to be same as your 16. So that is going to be the first y-intercept. And now if you are moving swiftly along, what is it that you're going to do? Which means the coordinate of E here is going to be given by what? It is going to be given by 0 and your 16, right? And if you are again now going to the graph of Y, or rather the graph of G, to find out what is going to be the coordinate of what? The coordinate of B first, so that you can do the distance. You'll realize that now you are going to say, look, here in this particular graph, your Y again is same as your 2 into bracket 1 over 2 close bracket 0 plus 1 subtract 4. And the answer that you are going to find in here, it's going to be negative 3, right? So which means the coordinate of B here is going to be 0 and negative 3, which means the coordinate here is 0 and negative 3. And now that you know these two coordinates, what is it that you're going to do? For you to get your distance, you are simply going to now for you to get what is going to be this particular distance, you are simply going to have both of these. And remember that since they said your length is going to be your scalar quantity. So basically, you're just going to add both of these, right? So this is going to be same as your 16. For EP is going to be same as 16 plus your 3, which is going to give you what? Which is going to give you your 19, right? This is going to give you your 19 units. And remember, because we are looking for distance, you're just going to add both of these, right? We are not going to take in cognizant of these negative sides. I want to get, hopefully now this makes sense to you. Now, if you are continuing swiftly along, what else now are we required to do in here? So let's make up our space so that we can solve what, or rather, so that we can solve our next question. Now, the next thing that we are required to do, they want us to now determine the values of what? The values of x for which the graph of F is decreasing, right? So now what is it that you are going to do when you are determining these type of questions, right? So let's see. So if you can make up, if you can scroll. Now, what is it that you are going to have here? Let's now. So if let's say this is the graph, they want us to do what now? To calculate the to determine the value of x for which the what for which F is decreasing. So where is going to be this particular graph decreasing now? Now your graph of F, right? Your graph of F, where is it going to be decreasing? Now, if you can look at this particular graph of F, let's just make up our space here. Let's erase so that you can see in terms of what is it that you are looking for. Then let's erase here, right? So that you can see this one. Now, where is going to be this particular graph of f decreasing, right? Now, your graph of f is going to start to decrease now here. Remember when we are saying the graph is decreasing, right? It's going to be where now? So if you can start here, right? Now, if you can start here, the first thing that we do, we basically know that now we need to firstly start by finding out what is going to be this particular coordinate of A here and what is going to be these other coordinates, because that's where the graph is going to be, you know, to start to decrease. Let's see. Now, so we are going to say now, if we are looking for the decreasing value, we are going to start here, right? So we are going to start by looking in terms of where is this graph of ours firstly having the decreasing point. Now, the graph of our f is going to start to decrease where? Now, it's going to start to decrease where your x is greater than 3, right? So when your x rather is going to be greater than 3, that's where the graph of what? That's where the graph is going to start to decrease. Okay. So which means now this is going to be where your x is greater than what? Where your x is going to be greater than your 3. That's basically where your graph is going to start to do what? That's where your graph is going to start to decrease. Okay. Now, so basically that is going to be that. And now, why are we saying that? Right? Why are we saying that? Because now, if you can look at that particular graph here, right? Now, if you can look at this particular graph, look at this, right? If you can look at this here, remember here, it represents your what? It represents your 3 and also your what? Your 25, right? It represents your 3 and also your 25. Isn't it so? And now, remember here, your graph here, it is starting to what? To increase. Why are we saying so? Look, if you can plot your straight line graph here up until here, can you see that this particular graph from these coordinates going upward, it is what? It is having a positive gradient, right? The graph, your x is having what? Or rather your m is greater than 0, which means your graph is having a positive gradient here, right? When your graph start from here up until here, because it is increasing, right? But now, when you can look here, can you see that the slantiness of this line, right? If I can just do the line like this, right? You know, plot your line that is going downward, you can see that starting from here, right, going downward, this graph is starting to decrease, right? So which means your graph is going to decrease when it starts from what? When it's greater than your 3, because there the gradient, let's say if you're plotting a straight line which is almost having the same gradient, your gradient is going to be what? Your gradient is going to be less than 0. And when your gradient is less than 0, your graph, it's where it is what? It is decreasing. Out again. So basically, that is what you are going to say in that part of the question. Hopefully that makes sense to you now. Then now let's continue. They say calculate the average gradient for point A and what? For point A and B. Now, for you to calculate firstly what is going to be the average gradient for point A and point B, it is important that firstly we find out what is going to be this particular point A that we are looking for, right? Now, so we are going to start by basically looking for our point A. So now, and if you can look at our point A, there are a lot of things that you can do to basically find out for your point A. For example, your point A, now let me just make up layer. Let me just erase here. Now, if you can look at your point A touches, it is the why? It is the x-intercept for both the graph of G and also for the graph of what? For the graph of F, which means now you can use any of those particular graphs to calculate your point A, right? So now let's say we use the graph of F. Now, what is it that you're going to do if you are using the graph of F? Remember, this is the x-intercept. This represents your x-intercept. So you are going to say, look, for x-intercept, you are going to let your y to be equals to 0. So, and when you're letting your y to be equals to 0, then what is it that you're going to do then from here? So this is going to be same as 0 is equals to what? Is equals to negative into bracket x, subtract your 3 squared, right? Plus your 25, right? So basically that is going to be this particular thing. Now let's start with these 25 and you know, let's try and expand this and see in terms of what is it that you're going to have. Now here, if you can take this 25 this side, what is it that you're going to have? If you are taking this side, this is going to be same as 25 is going to be equals to, or rather negative 25 is going to be same as negative x subtract your 3 squared, right? And this is same as what? 25 is equals to your x subtract your 3, right? Squared. When you are multiplying both sides by what? By negative. This is going to be that. Now, there are a lot of things that you can do from here. Look, simply you can just equate both of these, right? This is going to be same as what? Now, you can simply just say this is going to be your what? Now, basically, since this was that side, this was basically same as your difference of 2 squares. 25 is a square number, and all of this is going to be squared. So which means this is same as what? This is going to be same as your x subtract 3 is equals to your what? Is equals to your 5, right? If you say x subtract 3, this is going to be same as your 5, or your x subtract your what? Your x subtract your 3 is going to be same as what? Is going to be same as negative 5. So then from here, this is going to be same as what? Now your x is going to be given by what? When you take this one, this side is going to be 8, and your x here is going to be same as what? It's going to be same as your negative 2. How to get? But now, because we are looking for point A is going to be then the one that is on the negative side, right? So which means your coordinate of A basically is going to be what? It is going to be negative 2 and your 0. Now, they want you to find out what is going to be the gradient for what? For A and also your B. So which means your coordinate of A is negative 2 and 0. And the coordinate of B, remember we found the coordinate of B to be same as what? 0 and negative 3. And now when you're looking for the gradient of such, now what is it that you're going to do? All right. So when you're looking for the gradient of such, you're going to say, look, y2 subtract y1 over x2 subtract your x1, right? So basically that is the coordinate, rather that's the formula for our gradient. And when you're doing like that, this is same as what? This is same as negative 3 subtract 0 divide by what? 0 plus your what? Plus your 2, and then which means your answer here is going to be given by negative 3 over 2. Okay, so basically that is going to be the gradient that you are going to have there, right? Hopefully this now will make sense to, or rather this makes sense to. Now let's move swiftly along to the next question and see in terms of what is it that we are required to do in there. Now, for the next part of this question, now if you can move this upward a little bit to find out what is the next question. The next question want us, now they are saying, graph T is obtained by reflecting graph G about the x-axis. Write down the what? The range. Now, firstly, we need to understand what does reflection mean, right? So when you are reflecting, basically when they say it is reflected about the what? About the x-axis, the y is going to what? The y is the one that is going to change. And how is it going to change? Which means your new graph of T of x is now going to be given by what? It is going to be given by negative g of x. And these, remember the g of x was positive because now it is reflected about the x-axis. The y changes. Remember that the g of x represent your what? Your y. So your y is indeed the one that is changing, right? So which means this is basically going to be same as negative into what was the graph of g of x? The graph of g of x, it was given by 2, which is same as 1 over 2, close bracket, x plus 1, subtract what? Subtract your 4. How to get? So we know that this graph is going to be that when you're multiplying with the negative outside now, this is the same as negative 2 into 1 over 2, close bracket, x plus 1. And then this is going to be negative multiplied by negative. This is going to be plus what? Plus your 4. And now, which means your graph, remember, these still represent your what? This still represent your y, right? So the one, that one still represent your range, which means this graph of ours, right? For our range, right? For this particular range, we are going to say, look, our y is going to be the element of real numbers. And now your y is going to be less than what? Is going to be less than this positive 4, right? Because this particular graph is not going to cross now the new 4, right? Because the 4 is going to act as a boundary or more of a what? More of an asymptote. Out again. So which means in simpler terms, this graph is going to move, right? It's going to start from negative infinity and it's going to end at 4. How to get? So basically, that is going to be that particular graph. How to get? Now, hopefully, this makes sense to you. And now, let's move to our 6.8 and see in terms of what is it that you are required to do now in our 6.8. All right. Now, the 6.8. What we are given here, they say if P of X is f of X plus 2, write down the coordinates of the turning point of P. Look, this one is going to be very much straightforward, right? For 6.8, now if you are shifting this graph, look, now this is going to be the graph of P of X. They are saying the new graph of P of X. Remember, they say P of X is given by what? The graph of P of X is going to be equals to what? Is going to be same as f of X plus your what? Plus your 2. Now, these plus 2 represent what? These represent your what? Your upward shift, right? So it represents your horizontal shift, right? It represents your horizontal shift, which means now the value of your y, right? The value of your y of your turning point now is going to be shifted what? 2 units upward. For example, this is same as f of X. Remember the graph of P of X. Let's see. So we are saying the graph of P of X now is going to be same as what? P of X is going to be given by, this was negative, into X subtract 3 squared plus 25. And then this is going to be the new obtained now. Let's see, this is going to be the new obtained thing, shift, which is plus 2, which means the new graph now is same as negative into X subtract 3 squared plus what now? Plus 27. So which means the new coordinates of our turning point now, your turning point now is going to be still same as 3 and now 27, because this particular thing is, or rather the your y is shifted 2 units upward. Are we together? Now, hopefully this makes sense to you. Now they say determine the value of k, for which the straight line y is equals to 2x plus k will be the tangent of what? Of f. Now, I want us to look at this firstly. Now, what is a tangent? A tangent, basically, it is a point that touches, that is going to touch your graph once, right? It's going to touch your graph once. It touches your graph once. So now, what does this basically mean, right? So which means the graph of our tangent here. So if this, let's start here. If this is our, our parabola graph, right? If this is our parabola graph, now we are saying the tangent, basically the tangent, what it does, basically, it either touches this graph, this side once, right? It touches this graph once here, or it touches this graph once here. But now we can be guided here. What can guide us on this particular question? If you can look at this, you are having what? You are having 2x plus k, which means the 2 here represent your what? Your gradient. Your gradient is greater than 0, which means your graph is going to have what? A positive line. Are we together? Your graph is going to have a positive line, which means basically it's going to be more or less this particular graph, right? It's going to be more or less this particular graph, right? And this one that was touching this particular graph from this side. Okay, so we are saying this graph, it's either going to touch somewhere on this side or any side, but it only touches this graph once. Now, remember when we talk of point of contact, right? So we are saying the tangent point, if you are looking for what? To find the k, and the k is going to be basically the y coordinate of the touching point, right? So which means now we are going to say, look, this is going to be same as your graph of f of x, right? The graph of f of x, this is same as your graph of f of x, which is going to be equals to, let's see, in terms of what is it that you are given here, the graph, the new formed tangent, which we are not having any name, but it's 2x plus k. The graph of f of x is going to be same as the graph of 2x plus k, right? So which means now the negative x, the negative into bracket x subtract 3 close bracket squared plus 25, is equals to 2x plus k, because this is the point of what? Because this particular thing is a point of contact, right? So which means where both of these graphs are equal to each other, right? Now let's try and solve this side first. Now, if you are solving this particular side, when you are saying this is same as negative into x subtract 3, x subtract 3, right, plus 25 is equals to 2x plus k. And now what is going to be this? Now, for example, this is same as negative x squared. This is same as negative x squared. When you say this multiplied by this, right, it's negative x squared. This is going to give you your negative 3, right? This is going to give you negative 3, and negative 3 multiplied by this is going to be positive. Similarly, when you multiply this, which means basically it's going to be 6x here, and this is going to be plus what? This is going to be plus you 16. Right? Is it plus 16? Yes, this is going to be again plus you 16, because this is going to give you 9 and 4, 9 and 25 is going to give you 16. So this is basically going to be 16, and 2x plus your what? Plus your k. Now that we are here, I want us to take everything from this side to this side. So this is negative x squared. Then when you take this is going to be same as plus 4x now, right? Because when you take this 2x, this side is going to be negative, right? So this is going to be plus 4x, and this is same as plus 16. And this k is going to be same as what? This is going to be same as negative k is equals to 0, right? And now we are saying, firstly, the tangent is going to only have what? Have one point of intersection, right? And which means now that's the two roots, right? The two roots must be equal. Out again. So, and if you are having two equal roots, which means this is going to be what? Now we are going to say this is where your delta is going to be equals to 0, because your roots here must be equal, because you only need one particular value of your x, right? Your delta must be equals to 0. Then you're just going to be saying now, what is the delta? Remember, delta, it's b squared subtract 4ac, right, is equals to 0. I want to get, and now from here, what is it that you're going to have? This is going to be same as this is same as 4 squared subtract 4. Then what is going to be your a? This is negative 1, and then your c. Remember these now together with the k represent your c, right? So this is going to be 16 subtract your k is equals to 0. And now this is same as what? 16 plus this is going to be same as if you multiply everything here, this is same as positive 4. Positive 4 multiplied by 16 is going to give you 64, right? This is going to be 64, and this is going to be same as what? This is same as negative 4k. It's going to give you your 0, right? And now we are still solving for your x here. And since we are still solving for your x, let's make up our space here and see what else are we going to have here. Let's see. Then this is going to be same as what? This is going to be same as now as your, if you are grouping like terms, this is going to give you 80, right? And then this is going to 80 subtract 4k is equals to 0. So therefore, this is 80 is equals to your 4k. Then you divide by 4, you divide by 4, which means your value of your k is going to be equals to your 20. How to get? So which means now the value of the k that you are looking for is going to be given by 20. So basically, this is as far as this question is concerned. Hopefully, this will make sense to you. And thank you very much.